So, David, first of all, there have been some changes in the designation of various destinations for Israelis, moving them out of red into orange and out of orange into yellow. But more importantly is an attempt to have the Israeli vaccination certificate be recognized by the United States and by EU countries. Currently, that green pass, which you mentioned, which will require a third dose starting October 1st, that's only relevant inside Israel to enter Israeli venues that require the vaccination certificate or a negative test. But it's not recognized by any country outside Israel. It doesn't help Israelis who want to travel to the United States or to Europe, the fact that they've been vaccinated, even if they've been vaccinated 3 times. So the attempt here is to have that vaccination certificate be recognized by the U.S., by the European Union, which could increase the connectivity and increase the travel from Israel to those places and from those places to Israel. It's still unclear if that will mean that Israelis won't have to conduct, for instance, a PCR test before traveling abroad or not. But certainly the starting step will be to have that vaccination certificate recognized by, for instance, the EU, which is a nearby destination where thousands of Israelis travel all the time, to help those Israelis have an easier experience in those travels.
At the same time, it appears that all the government's efforts are focused on the vaccine here, not on returning any strict public restrictions here, but the numbers have remained high in terms of daily infection rates. Where do things stand here in Israel around the outbreak?
Right, so the numbers, as you mentioned, remain high. We're seeing usually over 8,000 new infections every day. The positivity rate is over 5%, over 700 people in serious conditions, close to 200 people on ventilators. Part of that may also have to do with the reopening of the school system, where, of course, many of the younger kids aren't vaccinated, and that can spread to their parents, which is a cause for concern for parents with the opening of the school system. Let's hear what some people had to say about that today.
I work in the education system. It was an absolute nonsense to send the students back to schools. Many classrooms were closed because of infections. What they did wasn't smart. They should have left them at home after the summer vacation. These tests are worthless. It will not help.
As someone who recovered from corona, I think it's very important that these tests guard the parents and children in indoor gatherings. It is very right to do so. This way you can keep the economy open and continue to enjoy life.
Right, so we heard there are some of their parents with their concerns, but generally Israel is pretty much entirely open. Also, maybe you can see behind me some of the people that are going here to the Old City for a prayer, a tradition that takes place in the Old City with the Kohanim, the priestly caste, as it's called, during the holiday of Sukkot. So thousands of people are going there over a 2-day period. So there are still large events that are taking place in Israel. But the third vaccination drive that the authorities hoped would stem sort of this 4th wave, as it's been called, of coronavirus and bring down the infections and bring down the serious cases, it isn't quite happening yet. The situation is stable. It's not increasing. It's not horrendous, but it's not really getting better the way some people anticipated it would.